Have you ever wondered what it would be like to form an unbreakable bond with a wild animal? To experience a connection so profound it transcends the boundaries between species? This is the extraordinary tale of Samuel, a dedicated wildlife ranger, and the unexpected friendship that would change his life forever. The African dawn was always a miracle. Each morning the horizon blushed with orange and gold, and the tall grass swayed gently in the breeze, as if the entire savanna breathed in unison. Birds lifted their voices, announcing a new day, while distant antelopes leapt gracefully against the pale light. Samuel, a ranger at the wildlife reserve, had learned to love these mornings more than anything else. His life was not glamorous, but it was honest. Waking with the sun, walking the land, listening to the rhythms of the wild. His wooden hut stood alone near the edge of the reserve. From its porch he could see endless plains stretching to the sky. Out, too many, the emptiness would have felt lonely. To Samuel, it was home. He poured himself a cup of tea, savoring the earthy taste, when a sound reached his ears. It was not the trill of a bird or the rumble of a buffalo. It was deeper, long, low, trembling like a sob drawn from the soul. He set the cup down, his heart beating faster. When he stepped outside, he stopped in astonishment. There, only a few paces away, stood a great elephant. Her skin was the color of dust and stone, etched with years of sun and survival. But it was her eyes that stunned him. They glistened with tears that slid slowly down her wrinkled cheeks. Beside her lay a small calf. The little one tried to rise, its legs wobbling, but collapsed back into the dirt with a weak cry. The mother elephant lowered her massive head. She stretched out her trunk toward Samuel, not in anger, not in threat, but in plea. The sound she made was mournful, filled with urgency and hope at once. Samuel's breath caught. He had known elephants were intelligent, capable of memory and emotion. But to witness this, to see her ask for help, was beyond anything he had ever imagined. Kneeling closer, he saw the problem. The calf's leg was cut, tangled in a length of old snare wire, abandoned perhaps long ago. The wound was painful but not fatal if cared for quickly. Samuel looked up into the mother's eyes. In them, he saw not just fear, but trust, fragile, hesitant, but real. He whispered, as though words could travel across the gulf between species. "I'll help, trust me." The mother shifted back half a step. It was not much, but enough. Permission. Samuel worked slowly. He knelt beside the calf, murmuring softly, his hands moving carefully with his knife and pliers. The little one whimpered, flinching, but he stroked its rough skin, offering calm. Sweat trickled down his back as minutes stretched long. At last the wire gave way with a sharp snap. The calf sagged in relief, eyes closing, breathing hard. Samuel cleaned the wound as best he could, tearing strips from his own shirt to bind it. When he looked up, the mother was watching. Then, gently, she extended her trunk and brushed his shoulder. The touch was warm, deliberate, and tender.
Oh.
Samuel swallowed hard, his eyes burning. He had set out only to save an animal. Instead, he had stepped into something much greater. In the days that followed, Samuel returned often to check on the pair. The calf was already stronger. It limped at first, then managed to walk a few careful steps. With each visit, the mother greeted him, touching his hand or shoulder with her trunk. It became their ritual, a language of gratitude without words. Samuel named the calf Kito, meaning gift in Swahili. The mother he called Amani, meaning peace. Whenever he called, they responded with soft rumbles, as though the names belonged to them all along. Kato soon grew playful, tugging at Samuel's sleeves with his tiny trunk. Sometimes he followed Samuel for a short distance, before Amani gently guided him back. Samuel laughed more in those days than he had in years. For the first time, the ranger felt that the savannah was not only a place he protected, but also a place that protected him. Months drifted by. The dry season arrived, painting the land in shades of gold and brown. Water grew scarce, and Samuel worked hard to ensure the reserve's herds had safe paths to watering holes. He often walked long distances under the searing sun, carrying supplies until his shoulders ached. One afternoon, weary and thirsty, Samuel sank under a lone acacia tree. His canteen was empty, and the horizon shimmered with heat. He doubted he could make it back before sunset. The earth trembled faintly. He lifted his head. Amani and Kato were there, Cato, taller now, rushed toward him with the enthusiasm of youth, nudging his arm. Amani moved more slowly, her wise eyes taking him in. She studied him for a long moment, then turned and began to walk away, pausing, looking back, waiting. Samuel rose weakly and followed. She led him through grass taller than his shoulders to a hidden waterhole, shaded and cool. Samuel knelt and drank deeply, the freshness reviving every part of him. Amani stood nearby, calm and steady, while Cato splashed joyfully in the shallows. Samuel sat back, wiping his face, and realized the truth. He had once given them help, but now they were giving it back. The circle of kindness was complete. Time reshaped the savannah. Rain returned, painting it green. Then another dry season followed. Through it all, Samuel continued his work, and Amani and Cato continued to thrive. Visitors to the reserve sometimes marveled when they saw the two elephants approach Samuel without fear. Journalists asked for interviews, scientists for explanations. Samuel offered no theories. He only said, "Kindness travels in circles. What we give always finds its way back." Cato grew taller each year. His tusks began to emerge, small and ivory white. Yet, whenever Samuel appeared, he came running, curling his trunk around Samuel's arm, just as he had when he was a calf. To Samuel, it felt like watching a child grow up when he had been privileged to protect. Amani aged gracefully, her movements slower, her gaze softer, but her strength unshaken. She remained the steady guardian, the silent reminder that compassion endures. One evening, as the sun sank in a blaze of crimson, Samuel stood on the porch of his hut. Far off, he saw silhouettes, Amani and Cato against the glowing horizon. Cato trumpeted playfully, chasing after birds. Amani lifted her trunk high and released a long, rolling call that echoed across the plains. To Samuel, it was not just sound. It was a promise carried on the wind, resonating in his chest. We will remember. We will protect one another. Always. Tears blurred his vision, but his smile held firm. In a world often ruled by struggle, he had found proof of something greater, the bond of kindness, unbroken by time, untouched by fear. The African savanna was a place of survival, of harsh cycles of life and death, yet within it bloomed a story that transcended those rules. A mother's plea, a man's compassion, a calf's survival, and a bond that grew into lifelong friendship. Each dawn, when Samuel stepped outside with his cup of tea, he no longer felt alone. Somewhere beyond the grasses, a family of elephants roamed free, carrying in their hearts the memory of him. And in his own heart, Samuel carried theirs, trust, gratitude, and the eternal circle of kindness.